What's going on, guys? Mecha Ishi, and from the Thundercats Classics line, I have Lion-O. Thundercats, ho! Let's do it.
Level 138 in progress. For launch in 3, 2.
Step out of your world and step into mine.
Welcome back, guys, to another Thundercats Classic action figure review. The first one that I did was the SDCC 2016 Wily Kit and Wily Cat. And now we finally have the leader of the Thundercats, Lion-O, enclosed in this black and gray shipper box. Now this is an awesome looking shipper. You can see it's black and gray, got that nice looking Thundercats logo, the name at the bottom of the character within, then you have the full Thundercats logo right there. On this side you have Lion-O screaming, "Subscribe to Mecha Ish!" And then on this side you have the Thundercats lair, nothing at the back. And I'm going to open up the top of the box to reveal the true packaging. So as you can see, this packaging here fits in very snug inside of the shipper box, so it's going to be very secure upon travel. So we have your window box here that's going to be standard for these Thundercat Classics figures. A nice showcase of Lion-O. You got the Sword of Omens fully extended, then you have a smaller one that's retracted, and then he has two interchangeable hands. You can see his claw shield, and he also has one on his hip. I do like the design of this window. You can see the molded plastic of the blade from the Sword of Omens, and at the base of the Sword of Omens you can see the nice artwork of Lion-O's eyes peering right on through, and then you got the handles here of the Sword of Omens are also raised and embossed. Now on this side you got the full Thundercats logo, you have his name at the bottom, and on the other you have some more artwork of Lion-O. And at the back of the box you can see we got the same artwork that we saw on the shipper of the Thundercats lair and of Lion-O, plus we got a little bit of a bio. Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats. Lion-O is a cunning leader known for his great strength and agility. He wields power with the magical airship of his forefathers, the Sword of Omens, which allows him to see faraway lands and to contact the Thundercats when there is impending danger. Lion-O is also able to avoid perilous situations from the guidance received from Jaga, who advises him spiritually. Although Lion-O is a ruler, he is a child in a man's body, sounds like me, constantly challenged to grow in moral strength through the Code of Thundera, justice, truth, honor, and loyalty, and Lion-O always succeeds. And then at the top you have the sick logo of the Thundercats with the red, silver, and gold, and of course it says Classic. Alright, let's take Lion-O outside of this box and let's see what he's all about. Alright, here is Lion-O outside of his packaging, and this is so cool to have a Four Horsemen produced Thundercats figure finally in hand, especially one of Lion-O. Now we don't know if we're going to be getting any more Thundercats figures after this year's Club Third Earth subscription is over, because it looks like Mattel has seemingly given over production to Super 7. So we know they're going to continue on with the Masters of the Universe Classics line, but we have no idea the fate of the Thundercats Classics line, which is kind of a bummer. But whether or not it continues, it is still pretty awesome to have this Lion-O figure finally in hand. You see he comes with a ton of accessories, including the Sword of Omens, both extended and retracted. He has his claw shield on the left arm that can be replaced with two alternate hands, and the claw shield on his left hip can actually be removed. So there's a ton of possibilities for displaying this Lion-O figure, which is awesome. Now he stands at 7 inches in height, and you can see he is bulky as heck, because this is the same body mold and reused body parts from the Masters of the Universe Classics line, also done by Mattel and the Four Horsemen. So it's so cool to see these guys in scale with one another. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to be taking out He-Man and putting him side by side so you can get a quick comparison of Lion-O and He-Man together. Alright, let's take a closer look at Lion-O. Now you cannot have a Lion-O figure, especially based off the 1980s cartoon look, without some epic fiery red hair, and this is an awesome job done by the Four Horsemen. You can see how wild his hair looks. It just flares out, looks like a big flame on top of his head, and all the sculpted detail going all the way to the back. You can see it going off to the right. Nice job, awesome looking Lion-O hair, and great separation between that fiery red paint and the flesh tone being used on the skin. And what I like about the flesh tone used is that it is consistent throughout the body. Now they've done a great job of sculpting such a strong face with a lot of strong features on this Lion-O. You can see his big cheeks, you got the strong jaw, his eyebrows are protruding outward, and you got that strong nose, of course. It just looks silly on this side looking at the small face compared to that humongous hair of his. Now both of his eyebrows are sculpted in and painted over. Unfortunately the one on the right could have been painted a little bit cleaner on my figure here. Now he has these nicely painted big red eyes. You can see the white is all done within the sculpt, got a little bit of a black outline around it, looks very cool, and of course he has the cat eyes in the middle. Now when looking looking at from this position, it looks pretty cool because his eyebrows are sculpted downward, giving him an imposing look. But when looking from this angle, the sculpt of his eyes is just way too big and the paint is just way too much. It just gives him a silly look. And it looks like the red paint on his right eye is also a little bit sloppy. But when you're posing him, just put him in a position that it's going to kind of hide those flaws. Like if you keep his head tilted downward, it's going to look pretty awesome. Now looking at his body mold here, this is what we've seen if you collect Masters of the Universe Classics figures. We've seen the same big shoulders, same big biceps and triceps, and the same big forearms and hands. Now you see he has an open hand here to hold the Sword of Omens, of course. His other arm though has this awesomely sculpted separate piece of the claw shield. Just take a look at all of the fur sculpted in, leading up to his knuckle gems here. That looks awesome, nicely painted. And then of course you have the white nails also. And of course this is an interchangeable piece, so we can take that right off and put one of his other hands in. Now this one is more of a claw-like hand, but then he also has one similar to the one on his right. Now we have the same musculature that we've seen with the Masters of the Universe Classics figures, but I love the paint job that they've given this body here with the lighter blue, and then you have the darker blue outline, including going over the straps and to the back. Looks very cool. Great job there overall. Now this is not a removable piece like we've seen with the Motu figures. This is just all sculpted and painted on this Lion-O figure. And as you see, he has a nice ab crunch with his abs nicely painted again in the same flesh tone paint. You got some more of the darker blue and lighter blue on this side, leading up to that awesome looking belt. Now let's take a look at that belt. Nice blood red, and then you have the Thundercat logo right there. You got the gray outline painted in pretty cleanly throughout, and then you have the darker blue kind of leathery look going on with some wrinkles sculpted in there. And then you have the gray outlining that belt. So it looks pretty awesome. Now as with the He-Man figures, you got the same softer plastic cod piece being used. You can see the little slit right down there in the middle. So when you're posing the figure, the range of motion is not limited. Same sculpted buff legs like we've seen with He-Man, and going on down to his boots, which look pretty cool. Again, you got the same color scheme with the darker blue, and then you have the gray up top. Nice wrinkles sculpted in there. And then we also have this separate hip piece. You can see this. I'm going to pop this right off. There's a little peg right there. Snap it right off, and then let's take a look at it. You see this shares the same sculpt as the interchangeable one, but this one is just a side piece, and it holds the Sword of Omens, but the Sword of Omens is actually sculpted in there, so you cannot remove it. But it's just cool that they gave us these options when displaying Lion-O. Now here I have Lion-O's baby Sword of Omens, and this looks very cool. Now there's no way to store it. Again, you saw that the Sword of Omens is actually sculpted in to the claw shield, but it's cool that we have the option of the separate piece here in a lot smaller form. You see sight beyond sight. You got that nice golden eye right there with the red background. Nicely done with all the silver molded plastic. You got some bright silver here, and then you have a little bit of teal painted in there inside of the handle. So this looks awesome. Great sculpt work all the way throughout. It's a little hard to tell too, but they also added sculpted detail at the base of this Sword of Omens. And then we get to the final evolution of the Sword of Omens, Thundercats. Oh, great looking sword here. Nice silver paint applied on the blade all the way throughout. You can see it's a softer bit of plastic, so mine got a little bit warped, but it's nothing a little hot water can't fix. And then instead of the eyes, we have the nice Thundercat logos painted on both sides. Great job. And then we have the base of the sword actually extending upwards. See a little bit more of that shiny teal paint inside. And you got the same handle and base sculpted in as we saw with the smaller Sword of Omens. So for articulation, we got the head that can rotate all the way around, and then we have some tilting motion downward, and he can look upward just a little bit. We do have a rotation at the shoulder, and you can see the big hinge right there, so he can't extend his arm that far upwards. Go down to the side. We have a nice bicep swivel, so he can flex anytime he wants. Take a look at that double jointed elbow, and we also have a rotation at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. Unfortunately, even though he's carrying the sword, he does not have that flick in the wrist, that hinge at the wrist, where he can put his hand downward like we've seen with more of the recent He-Man figures. Now Lion-O does have an ab crunch, and he can also arch his back a bunch, and I love that the paint continues on throughout when arching back or going forward. We also have a nice rotation at his waist, and he also has these ball hinge hip joints, so he can extend his leg backwards just a little bit to the side. He can go up a good amount, and take a look at that soft plastic that I was telling you about earlier, not really hindering any of the range of motion. And of course he can kick forward a lot as well. Also has a little bit of a swivel up there. You can also rotate his leg all the way around. He has a single jointed knee. We have a nice boot cut that goes all the way around, nice tight joint there. And of course we have a hinge at the ankle, so he can flex all the way downward and upward like so. And he also comes loaded with a nice ankle rocker as well, so we should be able to get Lion-O in a bunch of awesome poses. So here I have the Lord of the Thundercats with the Thunderkittens, Wily Kit and Wily Cat. How cool does this look? You can see they scale in very well with one another. Go ahead and check out my review on the Thunderkittens if you have not already. But after this year, the Club Third Earth subscription is going to be over, and we're going to still have an incomplete Thundercats team, which is going to be a bummer. So I hope Super 7 and the Four Horsemen continue on with this lineup so we can have a whole team of Thundercats. backing Lion-O up. And here I have two icons from my childhood side to side in Lion-O and He-Man. So there you have it, guys, my video review of the THUNDERCATS Classic Club 3rd Earth subscription figure in Lion-O. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a thumbs up and check out my channel for other reviews I have done. And I have so many cool things coming your way, so make sure you all like, subscribe, comment, and share. You know what to do. Peace.